ठीक है। मैम हम कहाँ पे बैठे, हमें तो प्रेस रिलीज एंड पिक्चर्स देनी है मैम। ये प्रेस है ना, we are doing it from the official account, right?
Yes.
लंच के कूपन हमें रजिस्ट्रेशन वाले किट में मिलेंगे?
विनीत दे रहा। Last year we were just Yes, it still hasn't come. They just kind of made the site like 2 weeks ago. So about 2 weeks ago. Sure, sure. And actually, ours is a US company. We you exceed that size. That is a serena image of my opens that is a faculty. That's in the amazing. हमने आप भी ये एक्चुअली get shifted. Right. So we can just
Okay, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So welcome to International Conference on Transforming Engineering Education. So we have all the delegates and all the speakers here, and some of them might be arriving very soon. But I would like to call our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Yash Badri, to open the conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think when the day started off, we kept saying the fog is playing spoil sport because it just kept rolling in. And we thought maybe because of that, people will roll away from the Bennett campus. Because after all, we are at the hinterlands of Greater Noida, touching Bulandshahr, etc. But God is kind. After all, it's the start of a new year, 2018, and the sun has finally broken through. And I think when the sun breaks through, Bennett University stands out. Okay, and thank you. And we're delighted to be working with Krishna and his colleagues in hosting the 5th International Conference on Transformations in Engineering Education. We have a galaxy of speakers today and tomorrow and day after. And of course, a number of panelists and a number of paper presentations. And I think we're going to keep each other busy right through from the morning till 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the evening. Krishna is a hard task master, and all of you saw him with the bell in action today, And that's the way it's going to be every day, I guess. Krishna? Yeah, absolutely. I'm also delighted to say that I was personally one of the original few who linked up with Krishna way back in 2000, I think 8, 2009, 2010, when this concept and idea arose in his mind of ICTIEE. And I think it has gone a long way in enhancing engineering education across India. Many more things need to be done. And I think we have a number of speakers. Dr. V.S. Chauhan from UGC is here. My old friend, Professor Surendra Prasad of IIT Delhi, and now with the NBA is here. So we have a number of them out here who want to actually expound on where Indian engineering education will take us as we roll away from 18 into 19 into 20. But welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Bennett University. We are here to take good care of you. And if you think there's anything lacking, please visit me in my corner room on the first floor. My door always remains open. If it's closed, it means the heater is working inside. That's why. Because it is slightly chilly out here. That's why. But other than that, warm welcome. And we look forward to an invigorating and very stimulating 3 days of discussions before we call it a close on 6th January in the evening. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Medri. Now I would like to call Dr. Vedula, co-chair of ICTIEE, and he will like to talk briefly about ICTIEE.
This bell will keep ringing anytime anybody goes over the time. So, including me, I have 5 minutes. This conference is about transformations, creating an ecosystem for transforming engineering education, which will hopefully make our young engineers, youngsters, more employable. But more importantly, employability is not the only thing, because there may not be that many jobs. They have to become leaders and create jobs. They have to become entrepreneurs. That's how society will improve, and we will address the challenges that society faces in terms of pollution or energy, poverty, security. All of this requires entrepreneurs to find the solutions. Transforming our education is the key to make that happen. Here, we share our experiences in transformation. But all the work, most of the work happens outside the conference. Throughout the year, we come here only to share our experiences. And so we have here for you, and many of you and your kit have this little souvenir. We'll quickly flip through that. The most important people are you for presenting papers. Your first pages are about your papers. You have presented written papers about your experiences and come here to share and learn from others. So you have, most important, all the papers out there. Then we have a large number of experts from around the world who are here to share their experiences and be catalysts for change for us. So we've got a lot of pages in there with all the experts in there. And then, of course, we have a couple of pages on reviewers. Many of you have reviewed papers that were submitted, and I want to thank you all for reviewing those papers. Then we have a very important group of people, our IUC consortium colleges. This is not a government program. This is completely supported by you, colleges who are benefiting from this program. Consortium members pay fees. I take zero. My time is completely voluntary, but I need to support a few staff persons. So those fees go to paying support staff person and other expenses. And I thank all the consortium colleges that have become members and pay these fees and help us move this forward. We have some awards that we'll be giving out at the end tomorrow evening, so just watch out for that. Most importantly, our sponsors. We have here names of all the sponsors, and I'd like them all to stand up or maybe come on up here. Xavier, from the Salt Systems. National Instruments, come on up. Let's collect them all together. National Instruments. MathWorks. Sponsor, come on up, please. Very quickly so we can take a quick snapshot. They're not here? Okay, so let me just read them out and read our symbol of sponsor. We have all of those. We've got Salt Systems and National Institute of Latin sponsor, MathWorks, the whole sponsor, Bronze, and Kudos, and the couple universities and service. And we have a whole lot of consortium institutions who have sponsors. So thank you all very much. And with that, I'm done. My 5 minutes is up.
Hello, good afternoon. So we will keep on giving you the feeling of a hill station in the morning and evening. And I think today afternoon is warm. So welcome all of you here. speakers and delegates. Uh, Thanks to IUCE for giving this chance to Bennett University to host IUCE. So I think it is all about provoking the conversation in the academicians that how we are going to walk the path to transform Indian engineering education system. So I welcome you all, and what I will like to say that don't take it as only 3-day event, but start conversing with your colleagues, with other delegates, with other authors, with the speakers, with me, with other teachers from Bennett University. Associate with each other, let us collaborate with each other, what we can do together, and how we can work as a team to bring our nation to next level of excellence. So that is what we want to do in the next 3 days. We are all available all the time. I am responding to you on WhatsApp, Facebook, email, phone, right? All at a time. So you are still welcome. Keep on sending messages, whatever you require. So we are at the service of yours for 3 days, and hope that you will enjoy the conference. You will start the conversations and let us decide where we want to go and what we want to change once we go from here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Garg. I would like to invite Mr. Chauhan, Chairman UGC, and he'd like to share some experiences in the sector of education. Dr. Chauhan, please.
Good afternoon to all of you. I'd like to correct that. Ex-chairman by 3 days. I was chairman back. So I feel I'm slightly odd man out here. Although I've taught in an institute which taught engineering, I taught at IIT Kanpur many years back. But I'm a chemist by training. I do a lot of molecular biology. I still run a lab. So I'm still very much a working scientist. But I found myself in the past 6 years heavily involved in education, higher education, concerns of the government, concerns of the clients, which is students, concerns of faculty, and so on. So what I'm going to share with you will be jumbled thoughts. I don't think I'll be able to mature any of the thought that I'm going to put in front of you, but let me just try. The way I have seen education, higher education, word over, is I would to say this 20 years back, that higher education, the word of crisis, at crisis level, at post Second World War, when 20 years after 20 years, the middle classes grew, the demand for higher education grew exponentially. I'm not talking about India, I'll come to India in a minute. Demand for education grew for various reasons, social status, job situation, etc. etc. There are many, many reasons for that. And suddenly university system needed to expand and expanded. So what we looked at university, the most successful university of the world, which was based largely on German model, which is ideas of Humboldt and ideas of John Newman, whereby university had a full autonomy, universities were fully funded by the state, but state did not interfere in running of the university. Autonomy today, and I think I'll just spend a couple of minutes on that later on, has come to mean very different thing to various people. Autonomy in Humboldt idea, when the University of Berlin was set up, was simply this. You are master of who comes to be taught, you are master of who teaches at the university, you are master of what research you do and how you disseminate, and there's no interference in how you conduct your financial or other governance. This is the model on which very good American universities, the most successful system in the world arguably today, on which they were based. As I said that 20 years or 25 years or 30 years or 3 decades for this American history, I think the idea of the University of Humboldt is under a serious threat. It is not actually gone beyond threat, it is probably changed beyond recognition. So the idea of the university was you went to a university space, you met with the scholars, you yourself wanted to become a scholar or be educated. So So university space would have, if you're a lawyer, you will meet a doctor. If you're a doctor, you will meet an engineer. If you're an engineer, you will meet a chemist. And as much teaching was done inside the class as would have been done outside the class. This is how Harvard, Cornell, Yale, Berkeley, Stanford, Oxford, UCL, all of them are structured. These are the top universities in the world today. So this is how it ran off. But somewhere along the line, I think personally, I think from what I could gather, this is the economic pressures, large demand on the university, and university being seen as the icons of national pride. This happened about 30 years back. Top ranking is only about 15 years back. How many of your university are the top 200, etc.? These became the narrative. I personally think it's gone too far. And therefore, I'm not going to try argue against any of these notions that have germinated. I was talking to Krishna at lunchtime briefly, and therefore I feel a little bit uncomfortable that I'm on and out here. But let me just pursue this further. So when the economic pressure was built up, the university responded extremely well to the pressures of expansion, simply because they had so much inner strength. But I think university are at the either end of their strength now. Any more pressure on the university, I think university will suffer. And this happened at the time when the technology and ICTIEE was advanced enormously. At the same time, travel became very easy. Universities started competing for money. They started competing for students. They started competing for university. That's what we are looking at in the system today. Let me immediately come to Indian scene. When British left us, we had 120,000 students in the university. We had just 20 universities and just had less than 200 colleges at that time. And this is for the population of 350 million people who lived in this country. That is, today we talk about low single digit at that time. So the planners or the people who sought this independence, suddenly both for education and health were confronted with what to do with this. Be as it may, IIT started, new colleges started, etc., etc. As I speak with you, we have 860 universities in India, more than 40,000 colleges. By any stretch of imagination, this is a very, very complex system. And I'm not going to tell you the other layers of complexity. There are 6 different kinds of universities, you have private universities, deemed universities, central universities, etc., etc. But complexity doesn't really mean that you are in bad shape. I think what India has been able to achieve needs to be celebrated with great enthusiasm and gratitude. I come from a lower middle class family, as you would define in India. My father was a clerk. I grew up in a small small town in Delhi. It's a refugee colony built for refugees came from Pakistan. Went to a government school. There was university which opened arms, accepted us. We spoke no English, not in Hindi, but it made us work. I'm sure if you lot of you who are my age or slightly below my age, these stories will be multi-million. This needs to be celebrated. Now, we received education when the British were hardly an education. Today, in my own lab, I have had 62 PhD students. More than 30 students are women. Women enrollment in Indian universities almost 50-50. Tremendous celebration in a country where women were not even. In my mother's generation, they didn't come on basis. So I think there's much to be said of what is happening. But now the much has to be said if this expanded system, which I still think is still expanding and needs to expand. Well, GR is only about 22, 23, including the open distance education. Should it go to 50? And it must go to 50. So every one out of the 2 who want to get have education should be able to get that. Will give you a figure of 50 for GR. Our system, present system, need to expand twice. So the universities such as Bennett University and many more, I know post 2005 have a huge space. So and I have argued, and Surinder will agree with me many times, both of us have argued. Personally, I think government and private sector We don't need to worry about whose government sector is government sector. Of course, there are constitutional responsibility. Parliaments have to discuss what they have to discuss, or historical, whatever. Within that, I think these two have to run in parallel. 1 minute I like to spend on the mono-technical university, and this is, you're going to dislike me for this, but let it be known that I personally feel mono universities are wrongly thought. And sooner we stop them, better it is. Universities have to be what universities are known for. We cannot call university a law. So, and when the Delhi University could not handle because of the large number, so the government suddenly thought of starting national law school. So we started national law school in Bangalore, national law school in Hyderabad, national law school. Now we have 20 national law schools. We have more than 20 institute of management, excellent places. I mean, for a minute, don't think I'm saying that they are, they are not good places. They are excellent places. We have IITs. But personally, this very personal, that's why I get emotional. Mono university. They only teach you law. They only teach you management. You just get it. I mean, I think this needs to be pondered about as we go forward. We swear by Harvard. We swear by Harvard. Ask yourself, which is the best management institute in the world? Harvard. Best medical school, Harvard. Or Lee Cornell, or best architecture school, Berkeley. These are the places. These are the places where universities are. But these are very my personal. Then we come to this is the huge complexities. So as I said, we are 850 university, 40,000, 3.2 crores students currently in higher education. So I'm not going to spend any time talking about mega education or so-called skills we university should match with the job. That's what my case. I don't know for it or against it. But should it become twice as much, then you'll be having 6 crore people in higher education. And I'll be 2 crore coming off every day. Even if all of them want to become entrepreneurs, I think it's a huge task. So we should ponder about this. So what should university do? Coming from old school as I do, I think university should educate. University job is to just educate. Educate to be able to handle a debate, to be able to listen to somebody, to be able to spare a thought for someone, to be able not to walk on somebody's to go ahead, etc., etc. I think that's what education. Skills, of course, you learn. You go to Delhi School of Economics, you are bound to learn economics. You go to IIT, you're bound to learn certain knowledge engineering. I think education at its core is education, and I think university should do that. Let me quickly, before the bell starts ringing, how much time do you want? Let me bell, but anyway, let me pursue. So I've been at the helm of health at UGC, and Surinder and I spent a lot of time together. So there's a great, right now in this quantity, which I believe will become a bigger quantity, like it or not. We need to talk about quality. And I think this is the right time. Maybe it's not a day too late. How to bring in quality? The conference that you're going to have here on next 2-3 days is precisely for that. And therefore, this is highly welcome. The conference and workshops like this should be placed. Even if it looks at the top, but the quality is really at the top. If everybody is the same quality, then we don't bother about what everybody is saying. Government of India in the past 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months or 10 months, especially in 10 months, has pushed many schemes, and I want to share 2 of them. Krishna was talking lifestyle. He said that one of the things which we move on is the autonomy. Autonomous colleges should be. And I think I've got my figures right. We have more than 10,000 engineering colleges in India. Some are closing as I speak with you, but many are opening as I speak with you. So let's say this is stabilized at 10,000, 12,000. How to bring quality in these places? So you say you set a bar somewhere, and below the bar should aim to come up. So Government of India or we at MHRD or UGC or AICTIEE are beginning to figure out what to. So one of the things which India has done is the institution of immanence. But let me just go back to it and make this a bit of my head. Autonomy, there's a major program now, which will be, I guess, will be in the newspaper in a couple of days from now. There's a major drive to make colleges autonomous for the reason that you and I were discussing. Autonomy would then in a college would mean that you can run your courses, you can design your courses, you are still associated with the university. You will still have the stamp of the university, but you will be complete. You can start your courses, you can fix your fees. This is going to happen as soon as the next couple of weeks. Actually, it will be in the commission on the 9th, and it should be published. Something called institution of immanence. So many times we've said, all of us have argued, even from IITs, that the money spent by government is very, very small. With that kind of money, you cannot really ask for very good quality research. So we floated a program only about 6 months back. I'm amazed by the response. I was a skeptic. People hold out the university. We have more than 120 applications. The idea is here is to give large sums of money. By the way of cash to government institutions like IITs or Delhi University or JNU University is selected by an empowered committee, and each institution will receive 1,000 crore in addition to the loan that you can take. So the infusion of money, like happened in China, not as much happened in China. But this is on board. Again, this is something which is already public knowledge, which is advertised. Then there is always this regulator coming in the way of quality of higher education is a very notion. I'm sure all private universities, all universities, including government universities, say that if regulators get off from our back, we'll do much better. So to address that, the government has now put a bar that anybody who's above that bar will be completely autonomous in designing courses, opening new structure off campuses or whatever. So music to a lot of years this will be, because then you can expand as much as you want. And these are thought through processes of the government. So graded universities, grade 1, you can hire faculty, you can have students, you can have your own courses, you can design new departments. All this is, as I speak with you, I think it's a matter of 2 weeks that will be. Post Surinder, I have involved in ranking of Indian university. As of now, it's a nightmare. I hope he agrees with me. But the fact is that institutions have begun to put whatever they've done or what they wish to do on a piece of paper is, to me, is a huge way forward. Same thing happened in the institution of immanence. You have to give your vision of the next 15 years. And for people, for university in India to be able to write it on a piece of paper, that 5 years from now I want to be here, 10 years from now I want to be here, 15 years from here, I think it's a fantastic step forward. So a lot of exciting things are happening from government side. Finally, I'll just say that, finally I'll say this, that the ownership of quality in a country like India, I still call it an immature, growing education system. No matter which end you look at, it's still immature, it's very young, it's still expanding, lies with the students, and it doesn't lie with the government, it does not lie with the regulator, it does not lie in the ministries at all, it lies entirely with us. And if we are not custodian of quality ourselves, there is enough fraud in science in America, in Germany, in England, in China. So those things are not regulatory journals are not only for India, they for all over the world. With all that in background, in a country like India, it's absolutely essential that the students and the faculty take charge of the quality in this country. I'm amazed how talented, I'm continuously amazed. I taught in England, I taught in America. I'm continuously amazed how good student quality is in India and how good faculty can be. So I think onus is entirely on teaching community and the students to take us out from where we think we are stuck. The laws are made by us, committees are made by education. If we have a toxic law at UGC or AICTIEE, they are by us. So we need to take charge of that education. So thank you very much for inviting me here. I think what you are going to be doing is extremely important. There are government programs like Unnat Bharat. Briefly, that I spoke with Krishna is the same concept. It's already here. It's 2 years old. That the people, the students in IITs or engineering colleges or in the colleges or in the university will adopt a village or go to villages. Students will do hands-on projects, learn. I hope not all students are not keen to, will be keen to teach villages. Villages have enough sense of their own. Hopefully, some of us students will go and learn from villages and then try to get sort of submerge with them and try to find solutions. So these things are already rolled out. Unnat Bharat is 2.5 years old, just reviewed, and great enthusiasm from students. So from where I see higher education in India, huge challenges, growth, quality, how to educate, whether we should do MOOCs, whether we should not do MOOCs, whether we should do distance education, whether we should grow more campuses. But and how do they, your top university to top 200, etc., etc. That said, it's an amazingly exciting time. For those of you sitting at the back, those who will make future teachers, I think the future is in your hand. Higher education future is in your hand. Handle it carefully. Go out there. You will have learned much more than we had learned when we were students, and handle it with great care. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Chauhan. A very positive message at the start. So India has best of the students, and we can make best of the teachers. So let us start from here. He has an important meeting at MHRD, as he told that he's just 3 days ex-chairman. So I will invite our Vice Chancellor to give a token of love to Professor Chauhan. Just a message, as Krishna told, there are a lot of sponsors there and they have set up their stalls. So it is important for all of us to go to each and every stall. They have important products to show. There can be some new opportunities you can explore at each of these. So these are at 2 places, one just outside the hall, one when you go to the lunch or dinner or breakfast. You can see on the left in the marketing area, there are a lot of stalls there. So please do visit all of them. So now I will invite Professor Surendra Prasad, Chairman NBA.
Mr. Kishkavatla, Mr. Deepak Garg, members of the organizing committee of this conference, Mr. Mallory, PC of the university, speakers at this prestigious conference, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'm extremely grateful to Dr. Ashok Saxena and Krishna for inviting me for this technical workshop, important workshop on technical education. I have known Dr. Saxena for some time now, and his advice to us at NBA was of considerable help in steering India to earn a permanent stability status in the Washington. So we have worked together on this in the past. The list of illustrious speakers, starting from Professor Chauhan, is indeed very impressive. And since I know a few of them at least personally, I can assure all the participants here that you indeed have a treat in store for you and a huge potential for learning. The title of the talk that is listed against my name, I do not know whether I agreed for that title, because I'm not going to say anything on accreditation, and I'm not going to say anything about MBA. Well, Dr. Saxena and Deepak Garg did suggest to me that I should touch upon these things, but I've been talking about MBA and accreditation all around India, many workshops that we hold. So I thought, let me for a change talk as an academic, as a teacher that I have been all my life. So therefore, I would use this platform today to limit my address to purely academic issues as we face in the classroom or in an institution. Because I believe the main and central business of any academic institution will always be good academics. If we can continue to provide sound education to our students, whatever else we may or may not be able to do, we would have succeeded in a very significant way. So therefore, what I'm going to do today is just share some random thoughts on academic matters, questions that I think constantly need deeper thinking from all of us. I'm not going to provide answers in most cases, since in my opinion, there are no unique best answers for these questions. The right answers will be different in different contexts and will have to be evolved by the faculty through collective application of knowledge. And mainly I'll focus on two aspects of academic life, namely educational objectives and curriculum development and pedagogy. I must warn you that what I have to say is pretty ordinary stuff and perhaps mostly common sense. But the biggest challenges always lie in the most ordinary things that we may be doing. Since we get so thoroughly involved in the daily routine of teaching and managing that we forget to look deeply at what we do or what we are supposed to do. Organizers have suggested that I also speak to you about NBA's current approach to accreditation and its impact. However, as I said, I have been talking about these in many workshops that we have been conducting ourselves around the country throughout the year, and with due apologies to the organizers, I have therefore chosen to focus my deliberations. Of course, I'll be very happy to answer any questions that the audience may have about NBA's work or its impact at the end of my talk, should time permit and should the bell not stop me. So let me first take up educational objectives and goals. And I asked the question, and I think Professor Chauhan touched upon this, what is the purpose of education that we are going to deliver or want to deliver, no matter whether it's an institute of technology, whether it's a university, whether it's an institute of law, or whatever else it is. So what is the purpose? In the context of college education of any kind, some of the answers that one could think of at the broadest level would be something like this. It could be transformation of teens to adults. It could be help the students to grow wise, learn who they are, search for a purpose in their lives, and leave college as a better human being. So, in both these two or three kinds of answers, the inherent component ingredient is development of wisdom, which, in my opinion, is a crucial and implied element in these answers. Now, unfortunately, wisdom is something that is very, very difficult to define. Perhaps one could say it is the ability to investigate situations and experiences and carve out the right path for oneself, whether it's to others in life. It is the ability to differentiate between the skillful and the unskillful, between the wholesome and the unwholesome, and be able to do so while making choices in life. It also lies in learning to be useful to society in meaningful ways, while developing an ethos of a happy and fulfilling life for itself. Unfortunately, we are so focused on knowledge dissemination that we often forget this larger vision. It will perhaps not be too wrong to say that wisdom is usually outside our range of vision these days. For example, we talk about the smartest person around or the wealthiest person. I don't know whether we ever wonder about the wisest person of the year or of the year. So as an aside, institutions like Bennett University, which I'm told is a 24/7 university, in the sense that it is a residential campus. Institutions with residential campuses, in my opinion, are uniquely placed in this respect, because a 24/7 interaction is possible with faculty and peers in such an environment. And such an environment empowers every student not only to shape his own life, but also to shape others' lives. So whether or not the institutions are residential, the fact is, being in the institution, they are going to be there for a significant portion of their formative life. And we need to therefore make use of this formative time in a way that really helps them. And the thing which is very optimistic for us in this connection is because mostly they are young, they are enthusiastic, and they are bright. And when you put so many bright young people together, in my opinion, they are all potential agents of transformation for each other, not only for themselves, but for each other. They can shape others' personalities, as I said a few minutes ago, even as they shape their own, creating a very rich experience that they could later cherish for their life. Each of them comes with very different but very valuable life skill talents, in addition to the scholarly talent which they all share, and which brings them to the college in the first place. So we need to make sure that we provide them with ample opportunities to hone these talents further, or learn new things that they were never exposed to before. Sure, we need to offer them a good professional curriculum. They should be able to, as engineers, design long-lasting and safe bridges, develop drugs for healthcare, be adept at financial management, and design rockets that explore the outer space. Equally, we need to do all that is possible to facilitate development of wisdom and help them to manage relationships in a harmonious atmosphere. So every decision that we take, whether it's the rules and regulations, playgrounds, or even perhaps a new canteen, the question we need to put in the front is, how do we add an educational value to it? For that, we do need to be wise. We need to be mindful that some things are more important, more wholesome than others, are more skillful than others, and have a simple way for young persons to appreciate these things. And therein, in my opinion, lies the development of this talent. There is one way to do this. There is no one way to do this. Each of us could work out ways that are suited for our own institutions and for our own situations. Let me now come to the other main important issue in colleges, and that is curriculum. Curriculum, pedagogy, and related academic issues, advising students, outcomes, etc. It is clear that curriculum should be more than a rule book of requirements and regulations. It should be an expression of what a college believes education means for them. As I said earlier, besides giving an in-depth knowledge of subjects, it should have a larger purpose. And that larger purpose would require that students have adequate opportunity to study the human condition through subjects in humanities and social sciences, and be able to produce ethical responses to complex problems. This is, of course, part of the wisdom factor I referred to earlier. So I think no matter whether it's a subject university like Professor Chauhan referred to law schools and institutes of technology, or a general comprehensive university, study of humanities must be an integral component of all curricula. And if it is inadequate, perhaps students are missing out on something very, very important. The curriculum should also be very dynamic, both in content and delivery. What does it mean, very dynamic? It means that there should be a continuous review of its impact. And the revision of curriculum is needed. Whenever it is needed, it is done. And while revising curriculum, we should be very careful. And I suggest we should always keep two principles in mind, which are typically used by engineers. One is, try to understand what problem you're trying to solve before you design a solution. And then don't change too many things at the same time, because then it is never possible to ascertain which cause led to which effect. And of course, never try to fix what, as I say, does not need fixing. It has become really hard to state clearly the purpose of college education, given so many different perceptions and given the market forces at work. To the desires of the students, who would of course like good jobs and placement. Should it be based on the preference of the faculty, who would like it to be research-centric? Or should it be based on the real needs of the society? So how do we design a curriculum which is beneficial for all, students, faculty, and society? Is there such a curriculum? Should it be broad, that is, know a little of everything and something quite well? Should it offer a lot of choice? Should there be a limit, indicating perhaps a greater clarity of purpose? So there are all kinds of questions that you will have to address when you're looking at curriculum. So in this day and age, if you want to prioritize one subject over the other, I do not know how things are at Bennett University, but at IIT Delhi, where I come from, everybody would like this subject, this discipline, to have the foremost representation in the curriculum. So prioritization is almost impossible in such a situation. So given such a situation, a wider choice to the student, perhaps in a good way, becomes a compromise solution. And there is a related and very fundamental question. Should our students be the ones the management would like to target, perhaps driven by their balance sheets? Are the professors most want to teach? Are those whose education will most benefit society? As it was mentioned, college education was once a privilege of the well-to-do or the elite. Today, it is a gateway by which the brightest and the most ambitious of the masses would rise in economic and social status, and rightly so. So, what is the extent of affirmative action that the college should have? That becomes a very important question. And a whole lot of issues result from there. You have to probably have very large classes because you have to have more students. How do you handle large classes? Still keep the educational goals intact. How do you handle the diversity of competencies in the class? Is it possible to use the diversity of the class to enhance educational objectives? How do we handle the tensions and stress that may arise? Clearly, these aspects have a bearing on the curriculum design and also on the student welfare issues. Few words about faculty-student interaction and context and advising. Student advising is something that is not very prevalent in many Indian universities. But in my opinion, it's a very important aspect that is often ignored in college education. Because students, well, at least when they come into the college at that stage, they're very, very young, and they need to be given a hand-holding kind of treatment. But unfortunately, in this dimension of activity, the divide between faculty and students shows up very clearly, even where its importance is realized. Advising students and young persons is difficult, and we need to recognize this in order not to lose patience. They have rich academic opportunities in the college, but at this stage in their life, their talents and ambitions may not be clear to themselves. Coping with personal dilemmas at home or in relationships they wish to cultivate, they cannot easily separate that from academic decisions. And many forces conspire to push students to pretend confidence in studying and in career plans. Parents have high and specific expectations from their children, which also leads to reactions. The result is students tend to keep to themselves, or they keep themselves busy in many activities simply to avoid the benign question, am I heading where I wish to go? With endless distractions available today, it is easy to find excuses to look intensely anywhere but within oneself. On our part, unfortunately, most professors, and I'm saying this from personal experience and from experience of my colleagues, are ill-equipped to help students sort out their lives. Most of us possess little skills in such matters. And that's a little different from the ideal image students may have, professor guiding the students with wisdom and skill. One useful skill on the part of the faculty members that would really help is the skill of listening. As teachers, we get so enamored with one-way communication, namely talking, that the art of listening becomes a victim. I read a very fascinating story some time ago about Mother Teresa. Someone asked her what she says when she prays to God. And she replied, I do not say anything, I just listen. The questioner persisted, and what does God say to you as you listen? And she replied, he does not say anything either, he just listens. So in a nutshell, we need to encourage the faculty members to engage the students in discussions which help them to understand their own interests better. And in terms of ethical and moral behavior, they should learn to face and take responsibility for their decisions. I don't know how much time I have, but I assume that I have a few minutes more. I want to say a few things about an aspect of academic life in which teachers take a lot of interest and students take an even more interest, and that is grading and evaluation. I tell my students explicitly, and this is something that I do at the beginning of every class that I teach, that grading for me is a necessary evil. And they should focus more on learning than getting top grades. And usually the learning goal leads to better grades as a byproduct. I must admit, mostly I fail to convince them about the truth of this statement. So while grading has many facets, I think its main role should be educational. You can probably think of, and teachers usually think of various reasons why grading is important. And you can think of at least 4 distinguishable goals implied in grading. I would say each one of them has an upside and a downside. I'll take these one by one. One is the work hard rationale. The idea is to make students work hard and keep themselves out of trouble. Because ultimately, you have to pass out with grades, especially in our country. And students may hate it, since often it makes them feel the work is so pointless. And the result is, I don't know whether it happens in other countries, but at least in our country, one of the results is cheating thrives. Then there is the excellence rationale, to recognize and reward excellence and to get the very best from the best students. Now, that's a good objective, but students are also very level, they develop strategies for course selections. They will find out which are the courses which will give them the best grades. And it will fail to motivate the average students in the ultimate analysis. But really, grade point average is hardly a reliable measure of excellence. I think all of us will agree on that. Third rationale could be credentialing rationale. That is, you are trying to rank students for those from outside the university or college. But I think this is a rationale that is overrated by us academics, because employers usually have additional yardsticks. Finally, the last and the most important rationale for me is the educational rationale. The only rationale worth keeping in mind, which is not to just teach the A students, but all students to the best of their abilities. So I can probably go on, but I must respect the time for my talk. And I think I've managed it okay. There's a lot of random thoughts. I have no doubt that you will get much more organized agenda from subsequent speakers. And that's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Prasad. Now I would like to call Dr. Secretary Global Engineering Deans Council, as well as Secretary General International Federation of Engineering Education Societies, present his talk.
Thank you very much. Are we all awake after dinner? Wonderful. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm going to try to respect my friend and Krishna's time limit here of 20 minutes. There are lots of things, in a sense, I came here with a particular presentation, and just arriving here yesterday, several new subjects have come. So I will try to bring it in within the 20 minutes that I have to respect the guidance that you are providing. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I'm fine here. I think you can all hear me. Thank you very much. I want to thank very much the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Medari, for his kind invitation and the invitation of the community at Bennett. Certainly the Dean, Sunit Tolide, Professor Deepak Garg, I'm very impressed with your efficiency in terms of preparing for this meeting here, and certainly my close friend Krishna Badula and the team of ICTIEE that I've had the privilege to accompany and work with closely over the last 10 years, and we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of the ICTIEE. Several things I'd like to touch upon. One is certainly you are all part here not only of a very dynamic and constantly changing community in India, but you're also very much part of the global community. And increasingly so, working with the universities, the different companies, you see the need not only to look in terms of resolving local issues, but also global issues. And I'll reflect a little bit further on that. In my invitation in seeing all of you as part of the global community, I don't want to forget also to invite you to a global conference this year. I have the honor and privilege of representing many dynamic first-rate professionals from India and throughout the world, the 6 continents that I work with, for traveling and supporting the different institutions like ICTIEE, like ISTE in India here, working with numerous multinational corporations that are supporting this event here that have already been honored here and recognized per se. It's a great honor and pleasure to represent this diverse pool of talents. So I have a few reflections here that I've written here I'd like to just share with you. Probably The most distinguishing aspect of engineering in this century is not dissolving the boundaries between science and engineering disciplines, but dissolving national boundaries. The ever-advancing march of globalization, many engineers will work not only in multidisciplinary teams, but also in multicultural terms to solve problems or develop products and services that will serve a global market. Accordingly, engineering education need not only provide technical expertise, but awareness and understanding of different cultures. Given my own background and having lived in many countries of the world, I think this whole notion of increasingly seeing Indian students, Indian professionals working globally, they're recognized and increasingly becoming deeply aware of the need to understand not only your own immediate culture, certainly the diverse cultures and the different languages that are spoken in this amazing society, but throughout the entire world. We seek to educate the global engineer, an engineer who is globally competent and locally relevant. The two organizations that I have the honor of representing here is the International Federation of Engineering Education Societies, that brings education engineering societies of the world together. Furthermore, as a catalyst, and my later part of my presentation, was formed the Global Engineering Deans Council exactly 10 years ago. And I want to take this opportunity, all of you, as members of this global community, to invite you to join us this year in the United States for the first time, both of those organizations coming together in Albuquerque in November, and very much invite all of you, as many as you that can join us, to be with us. So this is not only the representative of the IUCEs, of the ISTEs here in India, of other similar organizations. It's leaders of universities, deans, and higher up in the hierarchy of the institution. But also deeply important, obviously, and I've mentioned this before, the deep collaboration together with the different companies that support our work, where we find the strategies of win-win for the companies and for the universities, per se. But fundamentally important, and it's been a great privilege to have played a role, a supportive role, to bring students, engineering students. I'm very pleased that an organization from India of students called SCALE, that is deeply engaged, working together with IUCE, has now joined IFES, the International Federation, working closely with SPEED and BEST from Europe, and SPEED, a global organization of 2,000 to 3,000 engineering students, coming together continually and doing some very creative, exciting things. I'm very, very pleased to be part of that, and invite all of you to get to know the work of those particular institutions here in India and also globally. The key theme of the conference that we will be hosting this year in the United States is peace engineering. And in a sense, let me, in a sense, as a friend of India that has known India for the last 35 years, had the chance to live here as well as in South Asia, I'm coming back to India, where I have some very close friends, where we've done some very exciting, innovative, creative activities together. I just want to plant a seed here for our reflection, and not to get into that discussion today. Is when I arrived yesterday early in the morning and coming back to Delhi, and sensing certainly what I see in many other parts of the world, such as Beijing and others, a tremendous challenge of the contamination of our ambiance, of our environment. It hit me very strong, and I want to ask for you to consider seriously over the next 2-3 days to find a space to look at this issue and build on some of the very concrete, important experiences that some of you are already engaged in and working at a local level to help resolve some of those issues that all of us are deeply aware of. I'd like to just plant that seed and ask that we take some time over the next 2-3 days to reflect on that particular issue. And it's very much consistent also in terms of the theme that we are articulating and focusing on peace engineering in our conference here, promoting issues of prosperity, sustainability, and other issues here, per se. The two organizations that I have the honor of representing and being here, ICTIEE and the GEDC here, as members that really touch, as I mentioned, all of the continents of the world. And the analysis that I provided here, that I'd like to share with you very briefly to stay within the limit of my time, is based on some research and some interviews that I have done, including some of your colleagues here who have been very inspirational in my role globally. Ashok Saxena, who is here. Devdas Shetty, I don't think the dean has arrived yet here, is to focus on the theme here in terms of transformations of the colleges that are represented here. And I wanted to share some of the reflections, some of the work, obviously very, very briefly, with you, that I was able to learn in terms of the first, the observations about transformation is that visionary leadership is a requirement for transformational growth, and I'll focus on that. The ability of a dean or a leader of a college to undergo substantial transformation is indeed a complex subject, as the ability to make such transformations depends on many factors, including leadership, the financial setting of one's college, the quality of the faculty and the students, the level of empowerment that is provided to the dean, to the leader of the college, her willingness or ability to empower the leaders of individual programs and departments in the overarching structure of the university, which may be private, state-based, or national-based, and in some countries, first two are prominent, whereas in many other countries, they are province or country-based. So what I was able to do is bring together some of the reflection of some leaders, deans, academic leaders, vice chancellors, some of which are also represented here, to focus on some of their analysis in terms of significant transformations in their particular institutions. Many of them had, in many parts of the world, had certainly faced a variety of difficult issues, particularly in some of the global economic challenges that were faced over the last 5 or 10 years per se. In some cases, no salary raises were permitted and so forth, which was in a sense a very, a negative aspect. However, in times of adversity, I think to look at the world and look at it as an opportunity. Some of the reflections that I'd like to share with you that came out of the comments of these leaders from Africa, from different parts of Asia, North America, Latin America, and so forth, were the following here. What are some of the requirements for a transformational growth here? And I think all of us have different roles that we play here. I think you can probably relate to that. I think the first is to build the team. Leaders relentlessly upgrade their team, using every encounter as an opportunity to evaluate, coach, and build self-confidence. Building the team, the role of a leader. Live the vision. Leaders make sure people not only see the vision, they live and breathe it. Be the inspiration. Leaders get into everyone's skin, exuding positive energy and optimism. Establishing trust. To me, that's a very fundamental element as we work, not only within one particular setting of one particular country or region, but globally. The ability for us to build trust, to build partnerships, to do exciting, what I call win-win opportunities, to increase the quality of our work. Leaders establish trust with candor, transparency, and credit. Leaders have courage to make unpopular decisions and gut calls. In very complex, difficult situations in our individual respective institutions can relate to that. Leaders push for action. Leaders prove and push with a curiosity that borders on skepticism making sure their questions are answered with action. Action. Certainly one of the individuals here, Krishna Vidula, has certainly taught me and many of us in terms of not only stay with words, but to through action, a real impact that you can make. Leaders set the example. They inspire risk-taking and learning by setting an example. And finally, leaders celebrate. Very important, I think, in terms of what we do to create that moment for celebration. Some of the research and some of the writing that has been done, some people that I certainly deeply respect, or some of the literature, stated also in terms of transformational leadership, that one must surround himself, herself, with the best people. That is mostly about who you hire. Many of us can relate to that. In the end, and while the summary describes what leaders do, it is the team that accomplishes transformation. It means hiring excellent college-level associate deans and staff, heads and excellent faculty and staff, and empowering them to the extent possible to help make decisions. That also means one must attract high-quality staff and faculty and strive to pay them competitively, to reward them once hired. But this goes both directions from where a dean or a university leader sits, and that this must work effectively with the other parts of the team. In other words, associated with the upper university administration. The complexity of a dean, and myself having also served in a position as a dean, to deal with those different realities. And another writer that has certainly inspired me and my own work over the years, and it was also expressed by some of the individuals that I had interviewed here, talks about the virtues of humility, honesty, courage, perseverance, hope, charity, balance, wisdom, and justice are all very important from my perspective of someone in a leadership role. But again, it is the team effort that allows most organizations to achieve transformation. And these virtues are things that I think we should all aspire to. I'm very, very happy in the next 2 or 3 days that we are together to give you some of the names of some of the academic leaders, not only in India, but certainly throughout the world that you may want to have contact with. This is very much of a role that I play, is to connect serious individuals, professors, deans, students, with their peers, with their counterparts throughout the world. And I'm very, very happy to share. Again, I could send and share with you many, many pages here. Just to give you some sort of insight into some of the thoughts of some of the people that I have the great honor and privilege to work with over the last 10 years. I thank you kindly for your attention.
Thank you very much, Dr. Han. So now I would like to invite Dr. Garg to facilitate some of the members here, that is Dr. Han and Dr. Prasad.
I invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor Surendra Prasad. Now I invite Anish Hoyer, please. So just to brief you about the next session, we have 3 parallel paper presentation sessions in the first floor, CR 101, 2 and 3. And each author, you may have seen the rigor here, 8 minutes. So 6 minutes for your presentation and 2 minutes for question answer. So you will get a bell after 6 minutes to stop. So it is better that you don't focus on the initial part. Many of us waste our time in that part. You focus on what you want to share and what are your outcomes or what are your contributions. So better you focus on that part, any new ideas that you have come up in your paper, right? So there will be moderators and there will be observers in each session. So another thing, as you know that Bennett University has the privilege to have NVIDIA DGX1 V100, which is the first shipment to India by NVIDIA for this supercomputer. So we have a guided tour of this supercomputing facility along with our other research infrastructure and institutional facilities. So that is a register for that. And I will say that if you don't do that, then you will really miss something, right? So there is a stall outside, you can register on that stall, and there are fixed timings where our faculty will take you around and give demo of supercomputing facility. You can do a hands-on session, you can photograph yourself with supercomputer, and there are so many other things. Tomorrow we are also getting NVIDIA people here who will demonstrate holodeck station, which is again a very recent facility that they have created, and they are also coming up with artificial intelligence grid, so which they will set up just at the reception. Library is there on the left side, it will be available in the library. So if you are registering for this tour, then automatically you will be taken to that NVIDIA facility also, where they will demonstrate their capabilities, what they are doing in the field of artificial intelligence. Thank you. Okay, I'm Krishna.
For housekeeping items, please visit the exhibit stalls. Lots of information you can gain. Please visit the exhibit stalls. Constantly keep doing that. This is very important. Without the sponsors, these conferences do not happen. Never, they will not happen again if you do not get the sponsors and visit them and learn from them. It's not just stalls, something that you learn from them. A lot of things you learn from them. Paper presenters, you all know where you have to go. 8 minutes, everybody knows. Okay? There is strict timekeeping. I'm pleased to announce, I'll show you the annual special of JEET. JEET stands for Journal of Engineering Education Transformations. We have been publishing this since 3 years in collaboration with Rajaram Institute of Technology. There are about 50 of the best papers that were submitted to this conference are published here. Many others will be published in subsequent issues, April, July, and October. All the papers will be online, maybe already online on the JEET. Go on that and you will find the, and all the people, all those who are presenting papers at this conference, please collect a copy of this from the ICTIEE booth outside, where a representative from Rajaram Institute of Technology will be there to look at your name and check out your name and give you a copy. Okay, thank you all. So this is a treasure, the transformation that you all are making, working hard to make and share. Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so we have the startup session next here in the lecture hall. PM. So make sure to be on time.
In all, it all begins from a single origin, a unique point in space and time. This is the spark of innovation that fuels your most amazing breakthroughs. It's a passion for discovery that unveils the genesis of all that exists in the universe. Today, the power of AI helps computers achieve superhuman capabilities in image recognition and lets scientists save our most precious resources by analyzing in 1 month what used to take 10 years. Everyday devices translate even the most complex languages from voice into text and images into words. Helping the visually impaired recognize an old friend, or letting a blind woman read to her child for the first time. Autonomous vehicles give us the freedom to reimagine our city streets and travel where there are no streets at all, to help the lost find their way home. We see robots teach themselves to perform simple tasks. We even watch and